What's up?
Spot.
You good?
Okay. All right, let me know. My son is looking at the phone. I'm not.
Hey, welcome everybody. Good afternoon.
Good
My name is
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining to protect our people because our people are hurt. And this protest, we want to say directly to you, Councilmember McDuffie. You know, we want to welcome you back home. Our people feel so many different ways, and some of those ways include the pain. There has been a pain that has been unaddressed, Councilmember McDuffie, in our community. You know, you've led off these efforts around racial equity, but in order to acquire equity, we have to address past, and this city has not addressed past harms that for a very long time. And on top of that, there is no way to address racial equity when we're thinking about current harms. We have had a history of being hurt in the city, and currently we are hurting Black and Brown. Affordable for us to eat, unaffordable for us to have housing. Developers, Councilmember McDuffie, who have decided that it's significant to have Black families have space, have land, have housing. How could you work with developers who would apartments, a 4-bedroom apartment, that directly impacts Black families? And then certainly limiting the affordability and giving it maybe a quarter or even a smaller percentage of any new development of affordability, real affordability, based upon all of the past harms that we've experienced. Councilmember McDuffie, we plead with you because we are in pain. Elected you to represent us, to represent your people, Councilmember McDuffie. And so we can't even move forward with any racial equity if we don't from the city. Black people who have been removed from the city over the last 30 years. And just so that you know, and I'm an executive mutual aid, and I love my people. And I will sacrifice whatever is necessary to make sure our people have exactly what it is that we deserve. And for my estimation, Councilmember McDuffie, we deserve everything because there has been a denial of resources made available for us just to live. And now those resources account for this vaccine that's been put out. Already, 48% more white people have received this vaccine than Black people, when Black people have 3 times more in this city than white people of COVID-19. And so that is another gross inequity that we are currently dealing with. And any work that you would do with any developer is adding insult to injury. And so, Councilman McDuffie, I believe in you. I believe in God's love for you. I believe in your love for our people. And I will continue to do so, and I will pray for you and all of our people. But you have a decision to make. You have decisions to make. We are not talking about your words, Councilmember McDuffie. We are talking about your actions. You have created committees and hearings and commissions to talk about racial equity, but we have not seen anything come to bear. And in fact, what we have seen is your work in increasing the disparity between Black and white people here in the city, a city that our people have built for free, which has never been addressed. So we cannot talk about equity until we address past harms, Councilmember McDuffie. We cannot talk about equity until we address current harms, Councilmember McDuffie. We love you, brother. We need you, brother. We need a soldier willing to carry the cross for us, Councilmember McDuffie. I believe God has selected you to carry a cross, but who will you carry this cross for, sir? And that will be determined by your actions, sir. By your, not your words, but your actions. We need you. Our bridge will always be open for you to walk across, Councilmember McDuffie, always. The door will always be open for you to come back home, sir, because this is where your people need you, with us. We are suffering, and the story will be told about what decision you actually made, whose side you were on. We will tell the story. I promise you. And I want you on our side of justice. I want you on our side of glory. I want you on our side of love, Councilmember McDuffie. I want you on our side. Please come talk to us. Let us know how we can help you. You have us, and you know, because you were raised with us. You know, when you have us, nothing can stop you. We have each other, and we won't be stopped. And you see on this phone call, on this Zoom call, all these wonderful, beautiful people willing to show up on this virtual protest to talk about you. You see what we're willing to do, the solidarity that we have with one another. We can't lose another family in the city and talk about equity. We can't do it. We've already lost too much. And the thing that you need to focus on now, sir, please, as a constituent, what you need to focus on now is supporting our people at Brooklyn Manor. We love them. They are ours. We cannot lose our families. They need support. They deserve your support. You are working for them, right? And so they need to see something tangible that you are willing to do to stop this incursion of mad development that is removing Black and brown people, poor people from the city. And you can talk about density all you want to. Please don't say this word, because no one can give us any example of a neighborhood that has seen an increase in density and a decrease in price. It doesn't exist. Every time anyone says build more, we know they are not working in the spirit of God, because they cannot demonstrate where this growth has been beneficial for Black and brown people. Every community and neighborhood that is more dense is more expensive, sir. So please do not come back with us on that. Please work with us, sir. We love you. The door is open. The bridge is open. We want you back home with us. God bless you. And God bless all the freedom fighters on this call today. Take care.
Wow. Thank you, Deacon Maurice. I knew I was setting myself up for failure choosing to go behind you, but thank you. Thank you for that. And yeah, I just want to continue along those same lines of highlighting racial equity and the need for action. First, let me introduce myself real quick. Actually, we're going to go to Lark real quick. So I'll get into my introduction after we go to Lark.
Block. She's on mute.
Hi. So we rang his doorbell and he answered. He cried out to get off his property.
Is he at the address that's listed?
Well, it's that special doorbell. What's your name?
Peter, it's Peter. It's a ring doorbell. He could be in Prince George's County. Everybody says he doesn't live here. That's why he doesn't come be here and be in Prince George's County, Maryland. It's an election offense, both state and federal.
I agree. He doesn't live there.
People are saying in the Ward 5 that he's left DC year ago and he's living in Prince George's County.
Longer than that. And he shouldn't be a councilman.
Along with the mayor, I believe she
So
has
he knows
residence
they're here.
in Maryland too. Both of them.
I mean, the house is up.
It does have furniture in there, but yeah.
Everything looks
His
like
mother and them live there.
So he knows they're here. I told him Brooklyn Manor folks are mad at him. Ward 5 residents are mad at him.
Howard University Divinity School, and then we have McMillan Park. We have 3 groups together, united.
All right, yeah. So we're gonna hear from all those groups later on. Thank you for that breaking news. So we're breaking stories right here on a virtual protest. So yeah, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Coy McKinney. I live in Southwest DC. I'm a part of a volunteer group of neighbors called Southwest Action. We're organizing to make our neighborhood more equitable and environmentally sustainable. So you might be wondering why a Ward 6 resident is involved in this issue. And I think it's best described as Miss Miss Elliott described it. This is an issue that affects everyone citywide, whether you know it or not. This is an issue that affects everyone in the city. And the issue that I briefly want to mention is that of Business Improvement District, or BIDs. Although, many people may think that BIDs are just the folks who clean the streets and host events in neighborhoods. BIDs are actually what grease the gentrification machine. That's a quote from Dr. Susanna Schaller, who wrote the book on BIDs and gentrification in DC. Dr. Schaller's book, which is called Business Improvement Districts and the Contradictions of Placemaking, BID Urbanism in Washington, DC, tracks the arrival of BIDs in neighborhoods and how those neighborhoods subsequently gentrify. So you can see it. It's like a time lapse. Where the BID shows up, that neighborhood gentrified. This was all part of an effort to attract what is referred to as the creative class, which is a group of predominantly affluent white young folks to those areas. So the BIDs do the placemaking. They make it, livable and walkable and all that other stuff that the creative class, that members of the creative class are attracted to. This is right in line with, if you're familiar with Ari Teresa's lawsuit against the DC government, which says that the DC government and DC government planning documents say that they're trying to attract the creative class. And so they go about the business of attracting them by displacing longstanding Black communities. So finally, BID executives are some of the highest paid folks in the city, and their boards are made up of large property owners, developers, and other real estate interests. So they're not actually looking out for people. I wrote a paper and an article laying all this out, and I testified in front of the Business and Economic Development Committee, which is chaired by guess who? Councilman McDuffie. So while he's on his racial equity tour, and I caught some clip of him, he was giving a discussion after a screening of Go-Go City, and he was saying that council members, people on the council, should take some, he said, partial blame for what has occurred. So good, I'm glad that you're gonna own up to this and that we're gonna see some action. And so I hear that there's talk of possibly a BID starting in the Rhode Island Avenue area. So now is the time to act. Now is the time to protect and uplift longstanding communities in that area. Communities like Brooklyn Manor, which I wanna give you guys a brief intro to. Yes, so if you drive east on Rhode Island Avenue, away from Avenue, you'll come upon the Brooklyn Manor community. A group of white and yellow garden apartments, 135 units across 19 buildings, is the last 5-bedroom family unit in DC. Brooklyn Manor is home to hundreds of low and redevelopment plan threatens widespread displacement. On one side is the Bowser administration, supported by Ward 5 Councilmember Kenyan, McDuffie, and others. The district has approved Mid-City's request to redevelop units to 1,760. $47 million in tax subsidy on top of that, which is my neck of the woods, where the Wharf is just paying $1 for that land, and they got over $300 million in subsidies. In exchange, the project is significantly reducing the number of affordable units, stripping away virtually all the 4- and 5-bedroom units, and providing no assurances that voucher holders will be able to return. Don't have to take my word for it. Councilmember McDuffie commissioned a study on the need for large family units in DC in response to the residents' concerns. Size units in response to organizing against the Brooklyn Manor development harm families. The report also makes clear that racial equity while destroying affordable family housing, period. And sadly, Brooklyn Manor Brentwood Village Residents Association had no choice waiting on an appeal. Their demand is simple. Bring back the 5 city with more than 1,000 luxury. If not, our tax dollars must be clawed back. And so for more on this, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Minnie Elliott and Ms. Bunce.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Minnie Elliott, the president of Brooklyn Manor Resident Association. And thank you for addressing about it. I know Anthony Hood and McDuffie personally. When I moved over here 27 plus years ago, out there campaigning, wasn't an ANC person over here, and write-ups and everything else. The owner union for it so many times. And we got together and formed the resident, and Marion Barry and even Menderson have even more act up with us in a year. We got in, all of us got together and marched on that and create. We even interact and help building some of the things over here with the owner. He walked the street with us. I'm not going to say he was the best or the outstanding, but he was rational where you could talk to him and he wanted to interact with us. Everybody want to know why. I feel saying the people that are here now, I'm saying a lot of the people who died there, that's what I'm talking about. Affordable place. Reason why I feel like this, when Eugene Ford Sr. was on the verge of losing his property, everyone in wheelchairs, crutches, you name it, came to Israel Baptist Church with Mary Henderson, which is the director at that time. Things you can read about. People don't talk about these things, but we went deeply down this property. And Elliot Bernard at the time was the best person looked up on with the that. So I'm saying the reason why I feel we deserve that because we played a part. As you can see, the pictures that you see now are children that are grown, things that we did. McDuffie came here, he sat down and broke bread with us. He made so many promises I had in mind. So my thing is that McDuffie kicked in time. Me, even if I have to be in a wheelchair, I'll be down there. Knows that this city is made up of us. We are the ones, and we're still here, out here, older now, still help fighting for these places, for jobs for our kids. And they talk about the crime. It's a way to actually address the crime, but involved us in some of these things. So I could talk all day on the things that I could tell you what he has done and has not helped us. I want to turn it over to our treasurer.
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Cheryl Brunson and I'm the treasurer of the Brooklyn Manor Tenant Association as well as a resident here. And it really breaks my heart that Kenny McDuffie has done us this away. He has deserted. I'm trying to get myself together because it hurts so bad, that he deserted us like this, and took and tore our community down and separated our families. And, Brooklyn Manor is a loving, caring neighborhood. Working class people here as well, who works hard, and we have single mothers here who are raising their families and single fathers here that are raising their families. And you all don't understand, it hurts so bad when they tore down Block 7. Kenny McDuffie, the mayor, and Anthony Hood let them tear down and break down Block 7 like it was trash. The trash that they tore down were people's homes, generations and generations of family, large families. It's not right, Kenny McDuffie. It's not right, Mayor, to give the developers $47 million to tear down our community, our homes, where our children play, where they call home. You don't know what you're doing to us mentally, financially, physically, our seniors. I'm just lost for words. I just can't believe that somebody that God gave a heart to could do this to any human being by any means necessary. And I tell you, God put you in there and God will take you out.
Thank you. Also, we want to finish saying this. We are a gated community. When we started out, it was open spaces. They even put their security in here to write up things to conviction to get rid of most of the people. Me, myself, believe it or not, they moved me 3 times and I came from Block 7. So like I said before, I'm reaching out, just like Maurice Cook said, I'm reaching out to you. McDuffie, change your ways. You can get more done that way. We want you to be part of us and start building this city because that's what it's all about, Black and brown people. Thank you.
That's right. I just want to say that, Kenny McDuffie is from Ward 5. Anthony Hood is from Ward 5, and where's your heart? All of this is about humanity. It's about the people. You got something? Yeah. And it's wrong, and this is like a cancer. It's gonna grow if we don't do nothing about it.
Thank you for having us, but I just want McDuffie to know that he says he lives in a stomping ground, but I grew up in the area where he lived. And it's not hard to address some of the people that voted for you. They helped unvote you.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. And we're going to drop more information on how you can get in touch and stay in the loop with the Brooklyn Manor fight. We're now going to move to the McMillan fight, because there's multiple groups, as we learned earlier, that are challenging McDuffie. So we're going to go now to the McMillan group.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Am I on the list for next?
Yes, you're up.
Okay. My name's Rita Campbell, and I'm a holistic practitioner. My specialty is homotoxicology, and that means detoxing the mind, body, spirit. And my concern is that this whole scenario is an example of environmental injustice. The scenario where we have a multi-use development coming into a neighborhood adjacent to private homes, and the levels of toxicity have that are potential and ongoing right now. I understand, well, that there was recently demolition of what is one imbued cement. And if that continues and abatement protocols aren't put into place, then those airborne particulates descend upon the residents and compromise everyone's health, and as well descends upon the water that supplies the DC residents. And nothing has been presented to the residents about whether the municipal treatment plants can handle the filtering of this water. But of course, we would like to stop it before it continues on to hurt people. I think what lies beneath people's awareness is the fact that this dumping of particulate matter, not only from the demolition, but that would happen with construction, would also continue to dump toxicity onto people who are already toxic. There's so much low information about the pollution that people are consuming on a daily basis, from the air, the water, the food, vehicular emissions, and for low-income and middle-class people who are living in a metropolitan area, this is an ongoing problem, and we haven't been presented with any real proposals to show how this development is going to serve our needs, which is to really clean up the environment before polluting it more. So my whole proposal is that there be some sort of co-creative collaboration with the residents before anything gets moved forward with this project. And I think the co-creative part would involve not only green builders and green architects, but also holistic practitioners and educators. I really feel like we should be doing things that would supply the neighborhood with alternative energy and or meadowizing the area in order to repopulate pollinators and somehow maintain the architecture that is already there, that's really really beautiful and doesn't warrant destruction. Moreover, just to get back to the situation with the current levels of pollution, the body burden that people are carrying, it really does mean that we should have an expanded definition of comorbidities, because when you consider the levels of toxicity that people are carrying with the dental amalgams that they are holding, and that leaches heavy metal into their bloodstreams, the hip implants, the knee implants, the root canals, what I talked about earlier about the fish, the fowl, the produce and the meats that people are consuming, carrying antibiotics and growth hormones. All these things are stunting neuronal growth and also metabolic efficiencies. And so people's cognition from birth has been compromised. So we need to deal with mitigating any additional burden, and we need to turn around to deal with programs that educate people about what's going on so our children can have the level of cognition that's required, because if their genetic markers are turned on for diminished comprehension and retention early, we just become zombies of the corporate media and able to be controlled by governmental forces whose politicians have funded their interest. I am not, Cynthia there? Cynthia? Oh, Cynthia was to follow me. And
yes.
You're there?
Yes.
Okay. How you doing today?
Good, good.
Oh, good. Okay. I don't want to overstay my welcome. I was to start at 5:05, but the moderator, I'd like to hear from the moderator about how you want to move forward.
Oh yeah, you're fine. We'll move right on to Cynthia.
Okay. So that's basically an overview of why I feel that we need to be more closely involved in any development in any of our neighborhoods. And it seems that the politicians and McDuffie have lacked compassion and lacked information really about the impact that the buildings that they design have on the communities. We need more livable cities where people can breathe and breathe freely. And, just one last statistic before we move on to Cynthia. Women's breast milk now has been determined to carry about 500 different chemicals. So you can imagine how we were dumbed down in the 60s and 70s, and we weren't aware of it. We need to mitigate further dumbing down of not only our adults, but also, of course, our children who inherit the future. Because for many of us, it's really too late because we don't have the resources, we won't have the energy to learn about what can be done to do the detox. And bear in mind, it's not a fait accompli. When people get these toxic loads from exposure to all of this stuff, there are tools that are not available through the mainstream medical world, and you need to do the research to dig deeper about the homeopathics and botanicals and flower essences and drainage remedies that are available. Okay, take care. Thank you for the moment to share. Cynthia?
Hi, good afternoon. This is the council member, McDuffie. Just to let him know that Ward 5 residents deserve access to green space, yet there are inequalities in the distribution of green spaces in our city. We all know that green space is proven to have positive effects on our well-being. This is especially relevant now during this very stressful time of COVID-19. In fact, the World Health Organization's guidelines recommend that to maximize the equity in the health benefits of green space, all households should have a minimum accessible, where they should minimally have access to green space within 0.186 miles of their home. Macmillan is certainly within that range for many of us in Ward 5. And the big thing now when people are buying houses is a walk score. So I would think 0.1864 miles is an incredible walk score. And I also think the folks across town who live around Malcolm X Park would agree that part has definitely been beneficial for them. Green space, as Rita said, makes our cities more livable, more equitable, and ultimately more sustainable, benefiting our public health in so many ways, and it also responds to climate change. Yes, we need a grocery store, and there are plenty of non-historic, more appropriate locales within Ward 5 to build one. In fact, we had a Safeway in our adjacent Ladort Park. How many incentives did the city offer Safeway to remain in our neighborhood? And how many incentives have our non-visionary DC leaders offered the developers to build a no imaginative, office on top, retail on bottom monstrosity? DC can develop, but it should develop responsibly. We should not destroy something as important, as historic, and as necessary to the well-being of those who live here now and who will live here in the future. McDuffie, we want you to fight to keep our green spaces, not destroy them, for now and for the future.
Thank you, thank you. And so I believe Joanne Boykin.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I have so much going on right now, you all. I'm appalled. First of all, I want to let you all know that I'm born and raised here, Washingtonian, by heart and by blood, because I've worked all my life and I've watched my parents work all their life. And I've never seen it gotten to the point where officials just don't care. Money is the root of all evil from what I am seeing and what I'm finding out. I'm thoroughly disturbed by this. I'm disturbed by the fact that we live less than a block from where McDuffie claims to be holding residence. We never see him, and when we did, he never took the time to stop. He rudely brushed my mom and an 80-year-old resident in the neighborhood, telling them he didn't have time to stop and even take a question. He called the police on a group of senior citizens protesting about the McMillan Reservoir who were nowhere near his residence. I am upset. I'm mad. I'm disturbed. Not only this, my mother and my father, as well as I, are taxpayers in this city. When the destruction started, when they started digging ground and the traffic started picking up, we asked for help due to the destruction that was going on in our home. The traffic with the structures just crumbling, cracking. Not only that, DC would not help for somebody who has paid taxes in this city since the day I was born. And I ain't ashamed to tell it. I'm 56 years old. So you all know I'm a living witness of I am thoroughly disappointed. We talking about officials who were assigned by the residents of this city who made promises to take care of us. And lo and behold, that is not the case. I would tell it, I will sing like a canary. I have friends on the police force. We grew up here. We went to school here. I have friends in housing. They come to me and they tell me about facts, about how the mayor is taking money out of pots. Her and McDuffie taking taxpayers' money, investing it as their own. Who does this? My God, y'all, I'm telling y'all, it raises my pressure. I sit here at night. I listen to the traffic on the street at night at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're racing down here like they're on a raceway. They're talking about bringing more traffic to this block, to this street. It will become a raceway. You talking about crime. We're concerned about crime, let alone the asbestos, the health issue That alone will affect us. We're not even talking about the hospitals up there with sick people already in them. My God, what is this all coming to you all? We got to fight. We got to fight. I'm no official. I don't hold public office, but God knows I will use whatever is in me. Y'all use me wherever I can be used. My mom is sitting here listening. We're ready. We're ready to fight. We're ready to write. My mom has been on TV several times on News Station 4, even when McDuffie called the police on him. Y'all, it's on record. That man has no heart and he has no conscience. And I can honestly say our mayor doesn't either. And I believe I'm done, y'all, because I'm getting hot up in here. I'm starting to perspire. God bless you all on this line. God bless you all for having a heart to care. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Joanne.
My name is Joyce Robinson Paul, and I was a former ANC commissioner when we were working on approving Macmillan Reservoir, the whole project. First of all, it was a no bid contract. Should have never happened. Maybe the project more not have been approved without going and voting on it by the city council. So that's number one. Number two is they're building on that site, and that was supposed to be a green space in our neighborhood. If you look around DC, you'll realize that there is nothing that we have. We have one great big park that we can call a green space park, but that's it. You know, this city needs green space. It does not need to have buildings everywhere. 20 years ago, we had the Tuesday morning breakfast in that neighborhood in Ward 5. We used to meet at Metropolitan Church, and we talked about what we wanted for Macmillan Reservoir. We started out with a water infiltration plant where we could have our own construction as a water infiltration plant that would have water that we could use in this city as an industry. Then we talked about various things going on, like things that would enhance families, things where people could come and just sit out and have green space and oxygen. That's not happening now. Every time you look, Vision Macmillan and all of the crews that they have are building more, putting more buildings up, building higher buildings. They even have a segregated low-income senior building, which is cut off from some of the other sites. So this project is just out of control. I'm also the vice chairman of the MAG, which is the Macmillan Advisory Group. I do not approve of this. As a 35-year member of Ward 5, many of the ANCs did not approve of it, but they had so many community benefits, they convinced them to move forward and vote it in. But this needs to still be voted out at the last minute. We do not need all of our green space in this city sucked up with large apartment buildings.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just want to let everyone know that we're going to have some time at the end because I get the sense that there's a lot of people have some testimony about these council members. So we're going to have some time at the end for that. And for those that are in the audience that want to do something, well, if you're on Twitter, tweet at them. We got a few hashtags. Where's Kenyan? If you come up with some other ones, drop them in the chat. And so we'll let's let his social media team know that we're here, okay, and know what we think. All right. So yeah, so we've got Brooklyn Manor, we had McMillan, and now we're moving to Howard. So I believe Robert, are you with us?
I am.
Right on.
Right. So I know we've got a couple at least probably a dozen or more Howard alums on here. I am not. I'm a Howard East neighbor. We're talking about Howard East Neighbors is a neighborhood association in Ward 5 near to the Howard Divinity School campus. And the neighbors are asking for help. They've diligently organized and had many meetings to preserve the historic Howard University campus, and which has been sort of left alone by Howard for a number of years. But we've got students and alums who have been working on their side with the university. But of course, the neighbors have asked ever since 2016, have met at ANC meetings, including ones that Commissioner McDuffie was present at, and votes have been taken, and we're fully expecting that Commissioner McDuffie will do what he said he would do, which is use his power to reflect the will of his constituents. And, I'm not sure if I can share a screen, but this is an example of a meeting in June 6, 2016, where Councilmember McDuffie was present and asked for a vote through the ANCs about this property, this divinity school, the Howard Divinity School, and a unanimous showing. There were about 100 community members there. The vote on the record was unanimous that no new development should take place on the HUSD property. This is a historic space for the Howard students, for the community, and it's been zoned institutional for hundreds of years. It hasn't been changed for a reason. And, now it's up to some, developers and some law firms have submitted plans to rezone it. And the community has asked that it not be rezoned, of course. And so that's up to Member McDuffie to weigh in on that requested rezoning, and it's the simple, clear answer has been no. And so the Howard East neighbors, it's just such a great group of people. It's a historic, there's a long legacy of organization in this neighborhood, and I've been so blessed to be embraced by these folks. When I moved here, and it was like it's all that anybody's talking about in the area. You have to be tone deaf not to know about this. And to really show up for this. And so a letter was sent, and there's been no response from Councilmember McDuffie's office. Was sent earlier this month asking for him to confirm that he will be rejecting those proposed amendments to the comp plan. So again, this is part of a network of instances where we don't want high value exclusive redevelopment to display. And I'd love to turn on what they've been doing and the help that they need. You there, Rashid?
Hey, peace, Roman. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. And I'm really happy to be able to just share a little bit about the importance of why we're here today. As an alumni, I just want to name that this piece of land was sacred. It is sacred. It's a sacred space for undergraduate students, but also Black graduate students and alumni and their families. Not just for students, but their families as well. When I was a student there, and I actually lived on the property while studying there for 3 years, I lived there. We had pride in the land. We learned about the history of the building, and we understood that where we were studying and where we were living and learning was a place that was sacred. We learned about those who had walked the halls before us, and we felt a connection to those who sat in the chairs before us and taught us. And we also learned about the lineage of the Franciscan order, the monks who had inhabited the land and the space for years prior to Howard. So as an alumni, I would often return to the land to participate in ongoing current activities, but also to sometimes speak to the students, the current students, we would often provide professional coaching to the students who were there, as many of us had graduated and started our careers. And then most importantly, it was a place where we could go to contemplate and to find a sense of solace. So this space wasn't just a building on a pretty piece of land that had green grass, but it was a place that was sacred, where many of us would return for hope and for inspiration. So I think about, as I close, I think about how, many people make trips to Mecca, some to Jerusalem, some to Egypt, some to Tibet. For Black students, whether you graduated from HUSD or went to another divinity school in the area, we would return to this place. So whenever I pass this land now, I kind of just say a breath prayer of gratitude for all the seeds that were planted there for me during the time when I was studying and had the privilege to be on the land. And I hope that students in the future will also be able to benefit from the land just like I was able to.
So yes, so thank you, Rashid. So Councilmember McDuffie and everybody on this call, you'll stand with your alumni, stand with your leaders of this student community and the local community to say no to the rezoning that is completely inappropriate. And the community has spoken very clearly about that. Thank you, Coy.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Appreciate you sharing your story. And please drop some info in the chat for folks to stay in the loop and help you with that fight. So now we're going to move on to Brooklyn Manor's going to lead us in some chants, and we're going to get those signed. Hopefully you made a sign that we can fill up your screen with. So yeah, Brooklyn Manor's going to lead us in some chants.
This is great.
Down there.
There we go.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I got one for you. Hey, ho, ho, McDuffie has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, McDuffie has
Got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. McDuffie has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho. McDuffie has got to go.
Yes.
That's I need a bond in there too. You want to hit that?
Yeah. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Anita Bond has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Anita Bond has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Anita Bond has got to go. Hey, hey.
Ho, ho.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. Every hood has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Every hood has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Every hood has got to go.
Go, hey, hey. Ho, ho.
Yes, every hood has got to go.
People over Brooklyn.
All right, that's the first Zoom chant I've ever been a part of. So shout out to the Brooklyn Manor crew for leading that, and shout out to everyone in attendance for joining in on that. That was great. Yeah, I think I got a sight of some of the signs that are that people made. If you can just hold up your sign. If you've got one, hold up your sign in the screen. So we can capture all these different signs.
Silver?
Hi.
All right, yeah, there we go with Lark.
Hi, Lark.
Hi. So, yes, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but this is not a boring protest over here.
Yeah, we've been seeing you. Love you, Lark. Love you.
Hey.
Yes, we do.
Cops called. Dogs came and showed up. So,
What?
so there's the, oh, you can't see. Hold on. They're the cops. Cops right there. There's the cars. Yeah, they just entered the house. So it does look like McDuffie lives here, and he definitely called folks to get us off his property. So, and they just, the cops asked me just now, how long are you gonna be here? I said, well, as far as I know, we entered 6, so I plan to be here at 6. So we're being watched, that's for sure.
The police are inside.
So yeah, I just saw the cops come in.
But Lark, I can't understand how they can make you move, but we got a little stretch. They don't even say nothing to the people over here. So how can they make you move?
I mean, well, a lot of craziness went here. That's all I got. A lot of craziness went down. So I only have gotten a taste, I'm sure, of what you've got when it comes to the bullying over at Brooklyn Manor. So McDuffie really knows how to keep things tight around here.
Lark,
okay.
Hi,
sir.
Those are just watchers. I see y'all from my porch.
Sir, that doesn't, we're not going to give that information on if
No,
he's in there or not.
He's gonna be a witness on that.
Okay.
Oh, that he's a
Sir,
witness.
you're constantly not listening. I said, we'll address the issue in a minute.
Okay, but are you taking this seriously?
Yes, because we're dealing with something else. If you can just relax.
Okay. Hi. So what's up?
All right, so you said this thing is at 6 o'clock. It's
It is,
over.
yes.
Okay. Just remember, don't block passage on the sidewalk and don't cause any traffic.
Okay, great. All right.
Just
thank
want-
you
I-
so much.
What's
I
his
just want
badge
to let
number?
you know you have your rights in the tree box in the street.
Get his badge number.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
All right.
Get his badge number.
No problem.
Lark, you got
Get
your
his badge number.
Get the badge number, and you have the rights in the tree box in the street. Get his badge number.
That's right.
Did y'all get his badge number?
Take some pictures too.
If McDuffie cared about his citizens in Ward 5, he would come out and talk to them.
We got a stretch. We got a stretch over here. He don't care about. He marched over here and hollered at the guys that he knew over here. So I know better. He's playing different things for different people.
Yes,
He
don't
calls
do
out
that.
lethal force for his own constituents. You call out lethal force for your own constituents.
Yeah.
He doesn't even
He
respect the
represents
senior
the people
citizens.
of Ward 5.
He used
Not at
our
all.
tax
speak.
money to move us. Where'd that come from?
Did you
How you gonna
It
use
shows
our
that he
tax money
doesn't care
against?
and he doesn't listen.
Get their badge number and get their car number.
Who's one
Get
of
their
the
badge number and get their car number.
Harvard graduate.
Okay, so I know there's a lot going on. A lot of people
This
got a lot of thoughts.
protest.
We have
All right,
Never
get
would
their
need-
badge information.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
will.
Okay.
We just
They-
got the
Get
march.
McDuffie's
Look,
number.
I call for
Out.
protest. Wait, look, I come from the old
got it.
school. I'm saying we got the march. We got to get out in the streets. Wheelchairs and everything else. We really have to march. That's what we got to do.
They grease palms in this city, y'all. You
Absolutely.
got to know who with who. They greasing palms. Somebody he paying is watching that house and telling.
He
Okay.
don't live there.
Miss Elliott,
Yes.
I'm the new chair of public safety for 2F. Get me that badge number. I'm going to ask the commanders about him.
Okay. And then come
I'm
over
working on it. I'll get the badge numbers.
Okay.
And get
come
their
over-
car number so I know
Okay.
which shift they're on.
Okay, but then come over here and watch the group over here that the police don't even disturb. He said the rights, they have all the rights in the world, and they tell them to get in the
anywhere they
street,
want
in the
to.
tree box or the street, they can do it.
They can park anywhere they want.
I don't know how they can do it over his house and they can do it over here.
I have strangers sitting in front of my house all the time and don't nobody move them.
Yeah,
say
I
they
have
can't.
drug pushers in front of my house and nobody moves them.
That's my point.
Yeah, tell them to come to First and O.
It's not open.
They ain't gonna do nothing. They gonna ride by.
So I know we've got some other people in the audience who might want to share their stories about Mr. McDuffie. So if we can try and do this in an organized fashion, we'll just take some turns doing testimony on your experience with Councilmember McDuffie.
Printed.
McDuffie does not listen. That is a fact. So he needs to go. He should not get another term in this city. He needs to go. McDuffie has to go. Let's do it. You know, just based on what he did today, call the police. How do you call the police on your own residents, on your own constituents?
If he'll call them on the senior citizens, yes, indeed, he'll call them on anybody.
Oh, he does nothing for the seniors in my neighborhood. We've been trying to get open up the New York Avenue playground. It's been almost 10 years, and he still won't do anything to make sure that senior citizens have a place to go, have a place to meet, have a place to even get involved in activities. So many years ago, we asked for computers, we asked for all type of activities. Nothing is happening over there. That's racial inequity. When one neighborhood could have almost anything and engage their seniors, and then another area has nothing for seniors. The seniors look out the window. The only activity is the drug trafficking.
All right, thank you. I see that Zachary, you've got your hand up. Can you you want to share?
I'm going to keep it brief. I appreciate that there's mostly Ward 5 residents speaking about their personal experiences. My name is Zachary Curtis. I'm affiliated with a lot of various organizations. I'm familiar with McDuffie as the kind of politician that utilizes the narrative of racial justice to sort of as a career, a feather in his hat around his career. Mm-hmm. And what I guess I want to ask everybody is, how do we as an electorate, as DC residents, really clarify what it, McDuffie is one of the council members who said the word reparations. And as a Black person who understands that we Black DC residents who descend from slaves are actually, that we actually are owed reparations, and that there should be politicians who are asked and held to a reparations agenda. How do you reconcile the fact that someone like McDuffie can use those words and still weaponize the idea that he's the anti-racist council member to silence Black people, to greet, to make it so that whatever he does is sanctified because he's the racial justice candidate, but also that there's no, that you can't question it, you can't challenge it, because, so I'm actually really, really looking for groups of people that will actually focus on what is our agenda, what does it look like to actually run DC in a way that is anti-racist, to run DC in a way that acknowledges the need for reparations, acknowledges that resources do need to, the distribution of resources does need to be different. If anybody understands, the wealth gap in the United States is 10 to 1 for every, average household of white families is 117,000. Average household for Black families is 1,700. And so that's more than 10 to 1 actually. But in DC, it's actually 81 to 1. So we're not only around some of the richest groups of white the American citizens, we're also some of the poorest in comparison. And so for folks who I think believe in racial justice, if you don't tie that to an agenda around resources, like I hear a lot of people saying Kenyan McDuffie doesn't care about Black people. I'm sure there's 2 Black people in the world that he cares about, but as a whole, it's actually profitable for him to create a whole career screwing over Black people in terms of continuing to keep the balance of power unequal, refusing to talk about real redistribution of resources, and withholding what we're owed, while also saying that he believes in racial justice. He believes, because honestly, America only wants to believe in racial justice insofar as it means gestures, poems, songs, culture, but not about resources. And so there was a chat about being a Ward 5 resident. So I'm a Ward 1 resident, but I live right next to McMillan. So unfortunately, I'm not a Ward 5 resident, but because McMillan is in my backyard, because I'm spitting distance from McMillan, because several of my family are Howard alum, this needs to be a DC-wide thing though, because you're going to start seeing this more. You're going to start seeing people running on racial justice when what they mean is, I run on acknowledging Martin Luther King Day, but not on creating a budget that's anti-racist. I'm running on, I'm running on being the Black face of white supremacist governmental structure, but not on really acknowledging that as a group with almost zero wealth, it is going to be expensive to make Black people whole, and that we should expect to have a budget that makes Black people whole.
I agree with you 100%. You might be Ward 1, but we in this fight all over together of DC.
May I say something real quick, if that's okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, hi, I'm Zilla Wesley with the DC Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. And I do want to say, but to your point, the person who spoke before, if you're running off of Martin's dream, you're running off of a fake dream, because Martin Luther King's legacy that has been co-opted to what he died for, So like, we need to really start, that's why I put in the chat, elections are always coming. Stuff is always coming. So let's press them out. It's time to show that we, the people, especially we, the people of DC, who were disrespected on so many levels, are tired of it. Because like I too, born and raised here, like I was born at Washington Hospital Center. Like we should not be the highest in a lot of the rates that we're higher. Like they are killing us. And they are acting like we are expendable, but we are not expendable. So we need all of our allies, no matter what, citywide, to call them out. Like I live in Ward 4, but I'm at Brooklyn Manor all the time, because like this is a place where we need to be, because this is an example. Like if it can happen to you, it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. You're just gonna be the next person. So yeah, thank you for that.
So what I would want to close with is, Martin Luther King talked about redistribution. He talked about redistribution of wealth. Now, he did not survive to actually enact that part of his agenda, but when you run on a Martin Luther King agenda, you have to run on a freedom and redistribution of reparations agenda. So I don't give up on the legacy of King, because he was much more radical than we believe. But you do need to, you cannot allow, and this is what is happening. We are electing people who are giving you symbolism.
That's right.
You are electing people, and we are getting the government that is giving you song, dance, and no sandwich. And that is what is happening. And so how do we
always from our president down to the rest of the politicians?
How do we have something to refer back to that says, that's nice and everything, but I'm asking you, how many millions, billions, trillions are you going to shift from these priorities to those priorities? And do not vote for them unless they know that answer, don't vote for them. Like Kenyan McDuffie does need your vote, even if he's the only one running. He does need you to to validate him, to co-sign his agenda.
Not this time.
And
That's right.
and we need to apply that same rubric to anyone running for any office, especially ANCs and local offices, because that's where those people start. They start and they learn. What do they learn? That it's profitable to screw over Black people. That is actually going to get you more prestige. It's going to get you a little, lifetime achievement award. It's going to be a feather in your cap, so that when you do run for council, you can show you can rewrite the story that you actually were pro racial equity, pro all of these things. When they get to define those things, you lose. You have to define it in terms of resources. You have to frame it in terms of the current wealth gap and the legacy of slavery and dispossession. One of the reasons I'm interested in Ward 5 is because some of the richest history of in terms of Black people is right there in Ward 5, in terms of policy history, planning history, redlining history, and how it has shaped the lives of people in Ward 5. Just what I've read off of, Wikipedia, you have the history of a city that never wanted to acknowledge the freedom of slaves, that never wanted to acknowledge them in their budgets, in the federal budget when DC was a federal district. You have records of Ward 5 and Ivy City in the federal budgets of the time, where white politicians from the South were vetoing funding for Ivy City. You have such deep history there, and I want us to learn that history and develop a no-nonsense agenda that insists on repairing and making us whole.
So yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, and what I'm going to say is going to sound a little spicy. So the thing is that, one, I just really said the Martin Luther King thing because it got co-opted, and a lot of people are using it just because they're using it. Because I studied, so that, but then also the legacy goes. So the thing, but the co-optation is also our problem, because McDuffie is a Black man, right? So now a lot of our siblings who've moved into the city from outside of the city, who are white, who are affluent, bougie, Black, creative class, will vote for him because they see him and he says stuff like, oh, I'm here for racial justice. He's taking a picture with the other people. So that's why this group, this collective.
Yeah, we have to change the subject to the agenda. We understand identity politics. We understand that I could be a Black face with a suit on, and because I'm that, you don't get to interrogate my agenda.
So you understand that, but a lot of other people don't. Yeah. So that's the thing. We're hitting the masses. And I don't want to take up too much space, but that's the problem. Us here, we get it, but it's time for us to talk to our friends, our family, our friends who live in other parts of the city to really understand this political elite and this stuff is happening from people of color, are holding down people of color. You know what I'm saying? And so that's something that we need to talk about, embrace, and you're saying, strategize against that, because that's a part of our uphill battle.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Karen Wilson Ama-Echefu. Good evening. I just want to say I am a relatively new person coming to DC, but there's one thought that I would like to introduce to this discussion. And it has to do with this pandemic situation. I saw a video the other evening by our ANC. It was interesting, and it talked about affordable housing. And one of the things that they did discuss, I was a little concerned there was no Brown perspective on that panel, but one of the things that I thought was interesting was that they said that all of this luxury housing that is being developed, this is a very old agenda. It's a pre-pandemic agenda. And since the pandemic, those who could have left the city this year in order to make whatever money they're making. And I think that it is necessary for people, I've been working with the Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition, and the degradation and the destruction of the Moses Cemetery. We're not here asking for morality. We're not here asking for respect. it's about, let's look at what some of this bottom line numbers are. If these people actually want to make some money, they need to be very nice to the people in Ward 5. They need to be very nice to the people who are so-called essential workers, because soon enough, that will be the only people that they will be dealing with. It's Black folks who want to be in DC. So they need to take care of Black people. So when we talk about reparations, which we are now saying dividends and damages equal reparations, that's what we're talking about. They need to think about this very seriously, because if they don't, they are going to have nothing. This place is going to be like blowing through the, if they throw away the people who love this city, building little matchboxes for too much money, they will be ruined. They will be ruined. And that is something that I think we need to have in mind.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to hop in real quick. Let's see. Okay. If someone has a comment related to McDuffie, can you, let's see, Alexandra Bailey, you have your hand up. Do you still want to make your comment?
Yeah, I want to jump in real quick. My name is Commissioner Alexandra Bailey. I represent 2F08. I'm newly elected. I've only been in office for 2 months. But I can tell you from the second that you set foot in office, there is an agenda to browbeat you into a very specific code of behavior. And it is what I would consider to be a corrupt code of behavior. It is about personal show. It is about respecting white supremacy. And it's about respecting the order that exists. I would encourage everyone here that we need to start vetting candidates to replace your ANCs, to replace Kenyan McDuffie. Let's make sure they have the money that they need to run and dominate that race. Let's make sure they come in hot to the council with the legislation ready to go. Let's pull our collective power. We have people on here who I'm sure know how to write policy and who know what that policy should stay, even if they don't. I'm sure we have lawyers here present who can point out all the corruption that is present. There might even be somebody on this call who's fit to hold that office. Let's have that conversation. And let's make sure that they have the backup to be able to hold their agenda, because I can assure you, you come into office and they try to beat you down and they try to get you on their agenda. They try to work the racism that has been implanted in you since childhood if you're a Black person. They try to dig that deeper. You really do have to fight back. So let's get some new people elected, because I don't know about y'all, but I am so damn sick and tired of being sick and tired. I mean, I've been to Brooklyn Manor more than a couple of times. Cops followed us around the whole time while we were handing out t-shirts, masks, and canvassing. Not only do they have to deal with MPD, they have to deal with a private police force. Minnie Elliott has been harassed since the day that I met her, and long before that. So you really have to think to yourself, what is the moral character of the type of people who would do something like that, and who would witness that and put their political weight behind it? I think it's just time to, I call for a political assassination.
Thank you, Commissioner. On the subject of next steps, we've got some slides that we want to put up, and then we're going to check with Lark as well. All right, so here's some screenshot. You can screenshot, but tweet, repost. Tell us about your experience with Housing and Racial Fought With You. Use the hashtag Where's Kenyan, no action. Council members McDuffie's Twitter handle, RL, that you can click on that will do all that for you. sign and share the petition. I'm sure that petition is silenced and ignored by the owner, the developers, the zoning commission, and every single DC council member. They deserve better. We demand the back our tax dollars. We will not fund displacement. Okay, join and co-sponsor the petition as part of the Coalition for Brooklyn Manor. This gets to, it's a citywide movement. Okay, there's some more information. Okay, we can drop links to all this in the chat. So to continue that conversation that you're all talking about, it'll be a citywide movement. And there's already with the common groups that are gearing up, and we need to just build that coalition because it's possible. And you know, if Chile can rewrite their constitution, we can get some progressive council members in DC. And especially when you look at DC's history of progressive politics, we can do that. It's just going to take a social movement. All right, so we're going to go back to Lark real quick. Lark, are you still there?
Me?
Yeah, yes.
Mom
Yes.
She left to put flyers on cars.
Okay, that's fine. Well, thank you for keeping us updated. I believe Miss Elliott, we've got 7 more minutes left, but I believe you want to have the last word to send us out on.
Yes, I just want to thank everybody for being a part of Miss Bailey. She knows I love them. All these people have been with us the day one. We've had people calling in all over for Brooklyn Manor. Brooklyn Manor is a place where people need to understand this is a stomping ground and a place where we need to start and to build a foundation that you build is strong, will last forever. And that's what we need to start now. I'm 83. I heard somebody say they were 53. I'm 83. So I go all the way back. Every 10 years, they change over. And I can tell you the people that are for us and the ones that are not. The ones that we voted in that we thought was all about them, they got money hungry and greedy. And this is what DC has really became. At one time, it was a family town and you had block parties and things. It wasn't perfect, but we could have cleared it up if we all had got together. So now what we have to do, all across every ward, every place, we need to band together and we need to do a movement. That's what we have to start now. Like Marion Barry years ago, Kimmy Gray, all of them, they did a movement and they made a difference. And that's what we have to do is make a difference. And it shouldn't be all about what color or what this person is or what we need to do. Want people who love our city and want to make a difference. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Miss Elliott, and thank you everyone for speaking and attending. Let's definitely carry this energy into future actions. This will possibly not be the last virtual protest you'll ever attend. It's the first for me, but hopefully we can keep this momentum and turn this into some action. So thank you all for attending. There's going to be some email. There's going to be an email sent out with more information on everything. So yeah, you'll be able to stay in the loop.
Yeah, everybody, let's give snaps for our organizers who put all this together.
Yay. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Much love. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kawhi.
Very quickly, I just want to say I've made contact with McDuffie's office and they do plan on.
Sorry, they do plan on what?
I've made contact to McDuffie's office and they do plan on reaching out to me. Today was the first legislative hearing, and that was a part of what prevented the convo happening prior to this meeting.
And also I would flag for everybody that the community and economic development testimony is coming up on March the 9th from 9 to 3. Go to the DC government website and sign up to testify. Housing and community development.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone, stay safe and
Thanks
stay
so
motivated.
much again.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Really appreciate the help. Thank you.